G'day everyone, welcome to the first episode of the Yak Hunters 2022 Rundown, a brand new series where I'll be taking you through what I learn and what experiences I encounter fishing in my first mixed species tournaments, fishing in the amateur class. In this series, I hope to give you some insight on what goes on within the series, keeping you up to date with state standings, and I'll give you some ideas that might help you decide if you want to give tournament fishing a go. So let's get stuck into it. A few weeks prior to the round, I came down to BLUEROCK in search of some key areas that were fishiest on the main lake and lower river arm sections. Getting across the lake in good time, I found the fishing to be so-so. Most of the time I fished hard, but managed to find a few which gave me confidence in the area. Using a few setups like a medium bait caster with my trusty Hell Yeah chatterbait, a top water setup and a jerkbait setup, I eventually found a few fish, most of which I found off the top around sunrise.
Oh, that's a better fish.
So after getting a good bead on the main lake areas, I went to an old spot and found a few more fish, albeit they were small. That was on a Daiwa Spike and a Duo Horizontes SP as a backup, being the closest place to the boat ramp that I have caught reasonable numbers of fish, so I thought it was worth revisiting. The pre-fish was sadly very non-existent for myself this round, as I had to work that day. By the time I actually got to the lake, it was blowing a hard easterly and pretty much leaving some waves that you could surf on. It was a pretty hectic afternoon. So I ended up just going to an old river spot instead, at which point after finishing up fishing, I destroyed my rear tyre on a fallen tree, so I had a pretty good afternoon. Tournament day, I arrived at the boat ramp at 5 AM, got ready to go. A short briefing was at 5:30, going through some basic recaps and safety information. We launched at 6 AM, heading to our first spots. I had originally read that launch time was at 7 AM, so with an extra hour of low light period, I decided to head up the river arm a little further than during my practice session. So yeah, and about 10-15 minutes in, I was onto my first fish. It was a redfin, measuring at about 25 centimeters, which was a bonus species for this round, which earns you some additional points in the series. This was to be my only fish and action for quite a while, enduring the loss of one chatterbait not long after the first fish. I later found another redfin shortly before casting off my second chatterbait. Later in the day, I played around with some top water lures in some shaded areas off the edge, and finally landed my first and only target species for the day, a whopping 10 centimeter bass. Warm conditions with a bit of wind late in the afternoon saw me return to the boat ramp at about 1:30 to check all my catches in. Although there were quite a few fish caught, the general consensus was that the fishing was tough across the board. So the standings as of after this round are now as follows. First place for the pro anglers was Gary Slykerman, largest bag, 915 mil total length. Second in the pro was Ryan Chandler with a bag of 855 mil. Third in pro was Brandon Scott with a bag of 750 mil. Okay, so the amateur top three. In first place we have Blake Puncher with a bag of 935, topping the first position in the pros. Second place in amateur was Stephen Vesey from Fishing with Steve, 900 mil bag for him. Third place was Matthew Painting with a bag of 665 mil. I am currently sitting on 10th place, second to last ahead of Jason Richards, so I got a lot of catching up to do. I did, however, catch the largest secondary species of the day. Considering that day, I think I'll take that as a win. Two key learning points. First one is, being it was my first event, I believe there was quite a few things I could have done better, but one main one was for me was I'll try to simplify a few things regarding how I set up, particularly around filming gear. I thought more often than not that it got a bit in the way, so I'll recap and revise on that and see how we go with round two. Second one is to be a little less dismissive. a big learning curve for me was basically that I just dismissed what worked as far as the numbers of fish caught during practice sessions. Most of my fish were caught on top water and on jerkbait or crankbaits. On comp day, I decided to leave my hard body lures at home in a bid to, I guess, oversimplify what I was using. So when top water for me at least wasn't really firing, I had no hard body subsurface lures to fall back on, which could have produced numbers of fish for me that as they did during practices. So yeah, bit of a learning curve there for me. So if you're interested in entering the Yak Hunters series, I will leave a link to the website where you can find all you need to know about entering, so the rules, the regs, costs and prizes for both amateur and pro series. It's a lot of fun to get amongst it and have a go, and entering will always do good things for your fishing skill development. It certainly revealed a few things in my own fishing I need to work on, that's for sure. So I hope you got something from this video. I know I learned a lot in this tournament. If you did, drop a thumbs up on it and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Just keep flicking, guys.